In 1943, the US military faced a crisis of engineering. Half of their bombers flying into Germany were being shot down, and the entire war effort rested on one problem: where to add armor so these planes could survive more fire. They examined the bombers that managed to return and found a clear pattern. Bullet holes riddled the wings and the fuselage. The engineers reached a logical conclusion: put the armor where the planes are getting hit. But Abraham Wald, a mathematician who had escaped Nazi Germany, saw what the military missed. He realized the planes hit in the engines were the ones that never made it back to be counted. The military was looking at the survivors to understand why planes died, an impossible task. To save the fleet, they needed to armor the areas that weren't hit on the returning planes. This is survivorship bias.
It is a cognitive trap that distorts our understanding of reality, and it is the exact error we make when we try to model our lives after successful people. We analyze the habits, the discipline, and the visible routines of the wealthy, but we ignore the thousands of people who applied that same effort and failed. By focusing only on the winners, we miss the invisible friction that makes that same hard work useless for everyone else. For decades, the middle class has relied on the 1970s Stanford Marshmallow Test as proof that success is a matter of individual character. The idea that a child's ability to delay gratification is a direct predictor of their future wealth became a cornerstone of the willpower narrative. When researchers replicated this test in 2018 and 2024 with a much larger sample, the results shifted the focus from innate discipline to the predictability of a child's environment. For a child from an unstable home, waiting for a second marshmallow is a losing bet. They take the reward now because they have learned that future promises are rarely kept. This environmental factor scales into adulthood. Researcher Raj Chetty analyzed over 1 million American inventors and found that children from the top 1% of families were 10 times more likely to become inventors than those from low-income families, regardless of early aptitude. This data reveals a stark reality. A wealthy student who is below average in math is still more likely to become an inventor than a poor student who ranks in the top 5% of their class. When the starting conditions are this skewed, hard work becomes a secondary variable. In this system, high-level motivation isn't the primary engine of success. It is often a byproduct of living in an environment where that effort is actually allowed to compound. If the game is mathematically rigged, you cannot beat it with more motivation. You have to treat your life as a system and engineer a new probability architecture. This starts with the way you perceive opportunity. In 1970, neuroscientists at MIT raised kittens in an environment where they only saw horizontal lines. When those kittens grew up, they were biologically unable to process vertical edges. They would walk straight into the legs of chairs because their brains had never learned to register those shapes. Humans experience a similar neurobiological blind spot. If your brain is trained on scarcity, survival stress, and the high-frequency distraction of digital scrolling, you physically lose the ability to recognize high-level strategic opportunities. You aren't lacking talent, you are lacking the mental hardware to see the path. Recalibrating that perception allows you to change the type of game you play. Most people spend their lives in linear games, where their income is tied directly to the hours they work. In these systems, your physical energy is a hard ceiling that prevents any real breakout. You have to shift toward exponential curves, systems where impact compounds independently of time. Because these curves look flat and boring for a long time before they skyrocket, they are consistently underestimated by the average person. To enter these curves without being a world-class genius, you use the formula of skill stacking. The math is simple. Being in the top 1% of a single field is a high-risk gamble. But being in the top 25% of 4 complementary skills makes you statistically rarer than that specialist. This creates a unique value proposition that is much easier to achieve. By curating your mental inputs to fix your perception and combining these average skills, you move from a linear struggle to an exponential trajectory. However, a unique skill stack is worthless if the market doesn't know it exists. The market does not reward potential. It only rewards visible proof. To create that proof, you must engage the evolution loop. This is the same mechanical process that drives biological adaptation and technological advancement. You take an action, you collect feedback, and use data for adaptive improvement. Your skills have to become public signals, audits, reports, or shared insights. These aren't just for show. They are the actions required to trigger the loop and start gathering real-world data. Most people interpret an initial lack of response as failure. In reality, that silence is the raw data you need to adapt your signal. Those who stay in the loop eventually evolve past the noise of the crowd. As you continue to send these signals, you eventually hit an inflection point where the system begins to work for you. This is the flywheel effect. It is governed by a concept in network physics known as the law of preferential attachment. In a network, a visible hub doesn't just grow linearly. It attracts new connections at a rate that is squared or cubed compared to an invisible node. Once you become a recognizable point in the network, the opportunities start seeking you out. This is why the cinematic idea of waiting for a big break is so dangerous. Breaks are rare and fragile. Engineering a network flywheel is a much more robust strategy for long-term survival. The most successful people in the world don't rely on miracles. They build their lives around these probability matrices to ensure their effort is always being multiplied. Once you understand the mechanics of perception, skill stacking, and network loops, you can stop fighting against a rigged system. You become the engineer of your own exponential growth.